Welcome to Athens Politics Nerd. Today we'll head over to District 1, where Commissioner Patrick Davenport is running for re-election. He's being challenged by Audrey Hughes, and I'll weave together bits from their interviews, which they did separately on different days, into this one podcast to help you decide who to vote for. Enjoy. Hi Patrick, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, I'm glad to be here.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me on your program.
So first, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? What do you do as a day job besides your work on the commission, and how's your first term coming so far?
Alrighty. Thank you. I'm Patrick Davenport. And my day job is I work with Peachy Green. I work with about 6 other wonderful individuals, and what we do is we help operate a cleaning business. We are a co-op, and a cooperative is where groups of individuals get together and they get to share ideas and get to make decisions in the business and actually get to become owners of the business. My day job is pretty much janitorial, so I clean homes and businesses every day.
How do you like being a commissioner?
Commissioner, it is fun. I actually like giving back to my community. It is a headache at times. I'm sorry. But considering the fact that I'm from Athens, Georgia, and that I get to give back to the community and work with 9 other great individuals, I think it's pretty cool.
Now to Audrey Hughes. What do you do as a day job, and why are you running for commission?
All right, my day job is I'm a middle school teacher this year at Clarke Middle School. Prior to that, I was at Hillsman for about 8 years. And why am I running for office? I'm running for office because I want to be the change that I want to see, and I'd like to see this town be better. And what I mean by that is Athens is a great city. It's a great community for everybody of every age, but we can be better. We have a lot of needs in this community, and we're not addressing all of them. And I'd like to be part of the solution to help everybody.
Cool. So you've received a number of awards for your teaching, including some national ones, like you were National Geographic's Teacher of the Week one week. I thought that was pretty cool. And you went on a UNICEF funded a class trip for you to go to Tanzania in 2014. And your Trash Hunger campaign regularly receives local awards as well. Can you talk a little bit about that campaign, what that's all about?
Okay. I've worked in high poverty schools for most of my career, so this is where all this started. I found a way with students to do 2 of the things I love, and that's help people and recycle, take care of the planet. And so the school I was at in Tennessee, again, like I said, it was a Title I high poverty school, so our families didn't have a lot of money, but they had a lot of heart. And so I found a way that we could connect kids with heart and recycling at the same time and get paid for it by sponsorship companies. And so it started in Tennessee, and then when my family moved back to Georgia, I wanted to start a trash hunger campaign at my school. And the principal at the time at Hillsman was Selena Blankenship, and I shared information about it, some photos, and she's like, yeah, this is great. Part of the trash hunger campaign is we donate half the earnings to UNICEF and the other half to a local food bank, so the students can see a local and global perspective of we're making a difference here and we're making a difference there.
So it's like the students collect items, they recycle them, they get
paid
for that. And
we get paid for it, and depending on the market and corporate sponsorships, what we can collect varies, and that I will say that has been the most challenging part, is keeping up with what they will take and what they will pay for. So what we have been able to do, I will say Athens is a great town with Athens-Clarke County Recycling. We do take a lot of things that we don't get paid for at all, and I take them to Charm, and we take them to the regular Athens-Clarke County Recycling. So ultimately it does benefit the community in that we are keeping things out of the landfill. We're trying our best to recycle. We're trying to help the Northeast Georgia Food Bank. We're trying to help UNICEF. So we're trying to do it all, and we're trying to adjust and adapt as needed.
Okay. So if elected, what would be your main goals for your first term in office?
First term in office, well, what I would like to see, like I said, we have a lot of need in Athens-Clarke County that's just not met, and especially out here in the country. That's what I call this part of Athens, we're in the country. Half of my district over half of my district is not even on a bus line. And something that's come up as I've gone around talking to people is we in this part of the county would really like to see a bus stop at Whit Davis Elementary School and another bus stop at Barnett Shoals Elementary. That would help parents, it would help students, it would help community members who would like to access those schools, and it'd be something really simple to do. Just swing the bus loop out. That's a doable thing. I would like to see us do more to attract businesses. Now, like I said, we're a caring community, but we're tapped out. Our people that are paying the bills, and over half of our income in this county comes from property taxes. Our property owners are tapped out. Our people are struggling. Even people with jobs like firefighters, teachers, people on fixed incomes that do own a home, because property values have gone up, so the property tax has gone up proportionally. And so they're struggling just to pay property taxes in some cases, especially folks on fixed incomes. I do think we need to get property taxes under control. I mean, it's almost like we've got the perfect storm or the most awful storm for anybody who's trying to find housing right now. So affordable housing is a crisis. It's a crisis for everybody that's not independently wealthy. So there's things we could do for that, just to give people a break.
Yeah, I noticed on your website that you have a section devoted to responsible taxation and spending. Do you think that the local government, doesn't collect and spend tax money responsibly right now? And what does that mean to you?
Okay, I do think sometimes some, not all commissioners, and I think some are out of touch with the realities of people that are in jobs and renting and everything else. I think they're kind of out of touch. I think when you're around government and you see all these big numbers flying around, I think you lose sight of what, say, $100 increase a month for cost of living does to a regular person. I think they truly lose sight of that. And I think our politicians need to be more connected with what's going on in the real world, and I'd say that's where I'm different. I'm a teacher. So I do think they lose sight of a lot of things just by being disconnected. I hear a lot of people's struggles. It's hard. It's not easy. I think people need some understanding. No, we don't want to break. We just want you to understand where we are and maybe see our point of view.
So what would more responsible spending look like? Like, is there anything in particular that they spent money on that you didn't like or that you would want to cut?
The $290,000 toilet for downtown. I don't have a problem helping the needy, but $290,000 to $300,000 on one single toilet, that could have done a lot more good somewhere else.
So you wouldn't have wanted a public bathroom downtown? That wouldn't be one of your
not
priorities?
That porta potty thing. No way.
Now back to Commissioner Davenport. Last time you ran on living wages and more resources for the East Side. Have you been successful in that? And what are your goals for your second term in office?
Okay, so yes, running my first term, my main goals were living wages, affordable housing, and resources for the East Side. Unfortunately, due to COVID, a lot of that was hindered. Pretty much a year and a half was taken away because we was in crisis management mode. But behind the scenes, I continue to work for resources for the East Side. We got some great new restaurants coming in. I work with our economic development department, and I love Ilka and Gustavo. They're doing a great job in attracting businesses to the East Side and showcasing some of the great assets that we have. I also worked on with my other colleagues the tax allocation district, which helps spur businesses to the East Side. But one of the biggest things that I'm very proud of is actually getting the county to make its minimum wage be $15 an hour. And the premise behind that is it's hard for us to go out to the business and say, hey, you need to pay a living wage when we're not paying a living wage. So I was very proud of that. Unfortunately, it took the right commissioners to get that passed, but I'm very proud of that. And the other thing was affordable housing. Of course, everybody has heard of the inclusionary zoning that my colleagues, Denson and Parker, and other people in the GIG program and other people in the community have worked on to help spur development in Athens-Clarke, well, residential development in Athens-Clarke County.
And GIC is the
Georgia Initiative for Community Housing.
Okay.
So, and also I have 2 projects I'm personally working on for affordable housing on the east side off of Lexington Road, fingers crossed, that those projects will go through. So.
Okay, great. So in 2018, as you know, because you were a part of it, Athens elected the most progressive left-leaning commission in our history. But even so, since then, the commission has been split, especially over the past year or so, between progressives on the one hand and moderates on the other hand. And of course, the moderates are people who still also want change, but maybe at a bit of a slower pace.
Yes.
And it seems like everyone on the body has had to pick sides, but except for you. So like you're the only one who I've seen who has really stayed on good terms with both sides. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that, because it has gotten contentious at times, hasn't it?
So for us to build a better community, we all got to work together. And yes, I believe I still am progressive, but I'm definitely a much more of a slower pace progressive. Sometimes I feel that we're moving too quickly when I prefer to take the more methodical, slower approach. But I try my best to not take things personally. And I try to continue to collaborate with everybody, to bring everybody to the table, and understanding that there are going to be people who are going to agree, and there are going to be people who are not going to agree. And to keep that in the back of my mind and understanding that we're all humans and we all have different districts to represent. And some of the districts are more progressive and some of the districts are more conservative. But at the end of the day, we all are trying to do what's best for the community.
Yeah, so maybe you mentioned some of this earlier, but what are some of the things that you look back on your first term and are most proud of having accomplished?
I like all of our T-SPOS projects. Lauren Blaze did a wonderful job in communicating with the community and orchestrating the latest T-SPOS that we'll be voting on May 24th. As well as the other SPOS project that the community worked on and others worked on. I think those projects are equitable. They're going to help benefit our community. I'm very proud to be a part of that. I'm very proud to work with my colleagues on many variety of things like living wage. I think that's a great accomplishment for our community. Many of the parks projects that we have going on, the Classic City Arena. Just if I had a list, it would be a long list of a lot of good things. But me personally, I would still have to say my work with Avita Thornton for redress for Pitter Road family members, as well as Dunlap Road. Me particularly in Dunlap Road, because those are my folks, and there was a landfill place there, and I have to work with solid waste, but at the same time address some of their needs and issues. And finally, we got some money in the budget to provide consulting for those individuals. So,
what were some of their needs? Can you talk more about that?
Yeah. So in the past 20 years, my family members have been coming to the Mayor and Commission complaining about water, complaining about the smell of water. Of course, they're going to complain about the smell in the air. But the main concern is that they're very agricultural. They grow their own crops. The crops are not growing correctly, and they said sometimes the water tastes weird. So they've been complaining about that for years, and unfortunately, over the course of 20 years, about 9 of my relatives have died of various cancer. Wow. So we don't know if that's attributed to the landfill, but 9 people in 20 years from various sources, various cancers, is very interesting when it's only a quarter mile of a road. So
yeah, that's disturbing, actually. Yeah. But you said that you were able to get
yes,
a consultant.
So normally, because our landfills across the country and across the state are regulated by the state's EPD, so they usually do the testing and do the soil testing, do the water testing, and do just quality control at the landfill and test for leachates. And leachates are any type of seepage that's coming from the landfill. We are hiring an independent consultant outside of the government purview for them to come into town, talk to the residents, do town halls with the residents, educate the residents on the process, educate the residents on their findings, and then doing next steps. Completely outside of mayor commission, completely outside of the government.
Okay. Back to Audrey. Do you agree with the direction that the commission has been headed over the past few years? And is there anything they've done besides the planned public bathroom that you don't like as much?
I suppose I'm fairly liberal. However, I think they are more liberal than I am. And I'm just telling my truth. I think that their stance, I do think we need to reform policing. I think we need to reform the criminal justice system. But I think one thing that this very progressive commission has forgotten about, and they're not even including in that equation, is where do victims of these crimes, where do they fall into this picture? Where are their needs being met? How are they being addressed? And I've got firsthand experience as a survivor. And I don't see that being addressed. You know, some people are truly living in fear. I talk to families all the time, frequently, where they don't let their children go outside because the crime is so bad in their neighborhood. Their kids can't go outside and play unless they're home. And even if they are home, there are times where they just don't let them go out. What kind of childhood is that some of our kids are growing up in, where they can't go outside and play on a swing set, on a playground, just walk outside, ride their bike? So there are people living scared right now. Crime is up. And we do have to address that, and I don't see that they've addressed it.
So do you not think that Chief Spruill has done a good job at reducing crime over the past few years?
I think he's done the best he could under the circumstances and with his hands tied the way they've been tied.
How have they been tied?
I
Have
don't.
they been tied by the commission, you're saying?
I think so. I do.
Okay. Now to Patrick. Your opponent wants taxes to be lowered. She feels that tax money isn't being spent responsibly by the local government. She also says the East Side doesn't always get its fair share of resources compared to other areas of town. Is she right?
So we all would love lower taxes, however, but we live in a community of needs. The parks needs to be, the grass need to be cut. We have essential stormwater issues. Streets need to be paved, as well as just basic services of our government needs to be funded. Lowering those taxes, you're going to have to eliminate some of those services. And I think lowering the taxes may be a good idea, but I think it will come. I know it will come at a detriment of the services that we as taxpayers, as residents of Athens-Clarke County, benefit from. So I don't think that's a good idea. You know, with the argument of that we're not spending taxes wisely, I think we're doing a phenomenal job, doing the best that we can. This government, this commission, we're very open. We have a lot of CACs, that's citizen advisory committees. We're a very activist commission. We're always out in the communities doing town halls, newsletters, Facebook, on the projects that we're doing. And if residents feel that the projects that we're spending our money on are wasteful, you know, we are very open and receptive to getting those feedback. But during our term, I would say that the overwhelming majority of residents have been very pleased with how we spend some money. But of course, with anything with government, there's going to be some waste, apologies, potentially some waste, but I think we're doing the best we can with taxpayer funds.
Mm-hmm. And I know about the resources for the East Side. I mean, that's something that you ran on, so I know that you agree with that. So what can we do to get the East Side sort of its fair share of stuff?
So there's a lot of stigmas and misconceptions about resources to the east side. So one of the reasons why downtown and why other side of the town gets more resources because that's where the population is. So unfortunately, East Athens does not have that big of a population. So when you have a bigger group of people, residents living in a certain area, unfortunately, most of those resources are going to go to that area because that's where the demand and the needs are. But I think our economic development department, our transportation department are doing a phenomenal job addressing some of the needs and the concerns from the people on the east side, and they're bringing those resources here. And especially when it comes to bus services, when it comes to sewage services, and things like that, I believe the pivot has been turned a little bit more to the east side of town.
And so my last question is, why should voters choose you over your opponent on May 24th?
Okay. Well, if voters vote for me again, I'll do the best to be, open and honest. I try to be apolitical and listen to all the voters. I will continue to do my best in reaching out to everyone, not if you're Republican, not if you're Democrat, not if you're black and white. I'm reach out to everybody as well. And the most important thing is I'm born and raised here. Born and raised, I'm the only commissioner that's actually representing the district that they actually are from. So, and I think that history of knowing East Athens and knowing what worked in the past, some of the suggestions that people had, I bring that knowledge to the table. And also, I'm not doing this for the money. I'm not doing this for the fame or the notoriety. I'm doing this because I love my community. If I was paid $0, I would still do it. I think we have a great bunch of colleagues, and the residents of Athens are awesome people, and I love to serve them.
And we'll let Audrey close it out. Why should voters vote for you, Audrey?
I think voters will appreciate honesty. I think they will appreciate somebody who's been a community servant for years, and I'm not saying Patrick hasn't, but I think I've been a community servant in a different way. I think they'll appreciate the fact that I am a middle-of-the-road person, and I am truly trying to listen to all sides. My two best friends are my campaign managers. One is a Democrat, one's a Republican, and everybody needs a voice, and everybody needs to be heard. And I think particularly those of us out here in the rural part of Athens-Clarke County have kind of been forgotten. I think those on the east side have definitely been forgotten. And I started going to bat for this part of town back last summer, and that's not going to stop. I think that's something that voters will get with me that they haven't gotten with the incumbent. I am a fighter. I will state my opinion, and if it's not politically popular, that's okay. I live with my decisions, and they're getting honesty. That's one thing for sure. So, if they want someone who's honest and who's going to fight, and who they may not always agree with, but at least they'll see my point of view, then I'm their candidate.
Thanks so much for being on the show.
Oh, thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Early voting has already started in this election, and it will run Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 at the Board of Elections office downtown and in other locations. Saturday the 14th is also an early voting day, and Election Day is on May 24th. So maybe I'll see you in the voting line. Have a great day.